This module reviews the different types of currents available on the beamer. There are 9 monopolar cutting outputs, 8 monopolar coagulation outputs, and 2 bipolar outputs. The first monopolar cutting output we see on the list is Polyp Pulse Cut 1. This current provides minimal coagulation, signified by the 3 coagulation dots in the upper right corner. The pulse waveform in the lower left corner informs that this is a pulsed mode. This setting is for snare resection of flat-base sessile polyps, mucosectomy, or piecemeal resection. The next cut current is Polyp Pulse Cut 2. This pulsed current provides strong coagulation, signified by the 6 dots. This setting is for pedunculated polyps where greater hemostasis is required to stop the bleeding from the polyp stalk. The next current is Polyp Blend Cut. This is not a pulsed cutting mode, signified by the lack of the pulse waveform. It provides intense hemostasis with a somewhat slower cutting speed. Next comes ESD, or endoscopic submucosal dissection. This current is the same output as Papilla Pulse Cut 2, except the repetition rate is higher and it is intended for submucosal dissection using a needle knife. The next current is Papilla Pulse Cut 1. This pulsed current has no extra coagulation, as designated by the lack of dots. It alternates between cutting periods and intervals where the current is deactivated. It is ideal for low hemorrhage incisions with a papillotome, and it is the current of choice when a minimum of coagulation is desired, as when performing a pancreatic papillotomy. Then comes Papilla Pulse Cut 2. This provides a pulsed current with minimal coagulation. This can be used for papillotomies where the physician believes hemorrhages may occur. The next current is Pure Cut, and it delivers a continuous cutting current. This current is not in endo mode, but does provide automatic cutting effect regulation. It is recommended for use with a needle knife or fistulotome with a power setting of 90 watts. Remember that with automatic cutting effect, or ACE, this setting is just an upper maximum that the generator will not exceed. It may require high power to begin the cutting process, but the moment the cutting begins, the generator reduces the power automatically to a level that is much lower. This regulation continues to ensure a uniform cutting result. The next current is Blend Cut, and it delivers a cutting current with a medium SCAR content. This allows a smooth cut, but with some coagulation to address any hemorrhages caused by the dissection of capillaries. This setting does not use ACE, therefore the output power is maintained at a constant level. The last cutting current is Super Blend, and this is a cutting current with an even greater degree of coagulation compared to Blend Cut. It also does not incorporate ACE, and although it can coagulate extensive hemorrhages, there will be more accompanying thermal damage. This completes the cutting currents. Moving on, the first coagulation current is Pure Coag. Using a snare electrode, a polypectomy can be performed with intense hemostasis and somewhat slower cutting speed compared to Polyp Pulse Cut operation modes. The next current is Hot Biopsy. This is a forced coagulation current with a fast coagulation process. Due to the short application time or fast coagulation, the thermal depth is limited. The next current is Standard Coag, which is a contact coagulation with penetrative effect. The degree of coagulation is controlled by the clinician using the rule of short application time for low penetrative depth or long application time for high penetrative depth. The next current is Spray Coag. It is not intended for use in GI. This is a non-contact coagulation providing a superficial eschar. Next comes the Argon Steady mode. This current has been adapted to the specific requirements of endoscopy as it automatically compensates for distance variations, thereby preventing disruption of the beam. This mode can only be used with a Beamer Plus and CONMED probe. Once selected, the power and argon gas flow can be directly set via the respective fields. The last three currents are pulsed currents that are equivalent to Argon Steady, except that the RF energy is not emitted continuously but is pulses. Argon Slow has more control over the coagulation result because the pulse pauses are longer with corresponding higher time requirements. Argon Fast features corresponding shorter pulse pauses, enabling the clinician to work faster. And Argon Super delivers a noticeably reduced coagulation effect that may be preferred by some physicians, especially when working in the right colon. The remaining two currents are bipolar currents. Although there are two to choose from, the first one is the preferred current for GI use. This current is selected for use with a bipolar probe, such as our BiCap superconductor probe. It provides contact coagulation and is used when coapting a bleeder with a bipolar probe. Gastroenterologists can see the level of hemostasis and release the foot switch when desired. The second selection includes SenseStop that automatically stops the delivery of current once a level of hemostasis is reached. The level or coagulation degree can be adjusted within the setup menu under the automatic modes. In GI, it may be helpful if the BiCap probe is operated without parallel saline irrigation, and in that case, SenseStop may help avoid sticking of the probe to tissue. This mode is primarily used when there is limited visualization, such as for turbinates or fallopian tubes. The last thing to be aware of is the maximum power levels for each one of the modes. Generally speaking, the more coag involved in a particular current selection, the less maximum power available. The Pure Cut and Blend Cut have a maximum power output of 200 watts, whereas the Super Blend is limited to 120 watts. In the coag currents, the maximum is 120 watts for the Pure Coag and Standard Coag. The Hot Biopsy has a maximum of 60 watts, and the Spray Coag can deliver 80 watts. All four of the argon currents are capable of delivering 80 watts also. The bipolar maximum is 50 watts. These maximum levels are rarely, if ever, used. Please review the Beamer Operator's Manual for more detailed information regarding the Beamer system and its use.